Good evening, everyone. It is 5:35, and I now call this meeting of the Parks, Recreation, and Arts Commission to order. City Clerk, would you please conduct roll call?
Commissioner Dolan.
Here.
Commissioner Kucharski is absent. Commissioner Collier. Commissioner Barraza.
Present.
Commissioner Singh is absent. Commissioner Miller. Present. Vice Chair Ward.
Present.
And Chair McCoy.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you.
Chair, should I move to have Commissioner Kucharski's absence excused?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to motion them right now.
Oh, you're going to motion it?
Yes.
Okay.
You can do it. All right, do I have a motion to excuse the absence of Commissioner Kucharski?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Rose, I second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. The motion passes. Do I have a motion to excuse Commissioner Singh's absence?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Barraza. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion passes. We will now begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Will everyone please stand? Ready, salute. Thank you. We will start with the approval of the agenda. City Clerk, are there any changes or proposed changes to the agenda?
There are no changes.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Dolan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Collier. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say no. This item is approved. We will now move on to approval of minutes. Are there any changes or proposed changes to the minutes from April 21st, 2025?
There are no changes.
I was just going to ask, last time we were together, Mr. Singh, we excused him, and then he came in. Does that matter in the minutes?
They will change it.
Huh?
No, it doesn't matter in the minutes. He showed up. It's just that when we started the meeting, he wasn't present.
Okay,
Okay,
got it.
thank you. Did I get a second?
Second.
You didn't, I don't think you got a motion.
I don't think you motioned
I don't
yet.
think I motioned. Okay. No changes, right?
No, no
Okay.
changes.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Dolan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Vice Chair Ward. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. We will now move on to subcommittee reports. This item is a discussion item for the commission, and no public comments will be taken related to this item. San Joaquin River Parkway. Does the San Joaquin River Parkway Subcommittee have an update it would like to provide to the commission?
Kelly normally handles this. We had a meeting with some of the park staff and went over the properties that they're going to work on in the San Joaquin River, and the Collier property is still up in limbo. But they made some other improvements, and they did some magic with numbers, and they put some money in that's going to help out a lot. But we're going to have them come on the 27th, somebody from the Parkway to represent themselves. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Commissioner Collier. At this time, I would like to appoint Commissioner Collier to the subcommittee of the San Joaquin River Parkway. For some reason, I thought that she was on there, but she has actively been participating in the subcommittee meetings, and it's only fair to make her a part of that subcommittee. Do I need a motion? Nope. Okay, so now you're officially a part of that subcommittee.
There's no motions?
No motions. You're special.
shucks.
We just put
You
you
do
on there.
have
We
our
don't need to
approval.
approve it. Does the Cultural Arts Grant Fund Subcommittee have an update it would like to provide to the commission?
Yeah. So the second year of Expanded Access to Arts and Culture grant program is underway. 278 letters of intent were submitted. And then this past Friday, the call for panelists closed, and there were 46 applicants for panelists to review those applications. So hopefully there's a good diversity of perspectives, and they'll be very busy in the coming months, so that way we can hopefully be ready to discuss proposed awardees this coming August. I wanted to mention that I have received positive community feedback about how this year is well organized, and there's been a lot of improvements over the year one process. And then another thing I had discussed with Aaliyah from the Arts Council is that the district where the applicant is located is not necessarily the same as the place that the activity is going to take place. The reason I wanted to mention that is I know that some of the fiscal sponsors are intentionally sponsoring proposed projects that are for Southwest and Southeast Fresno. And if we just look at the zip code they come in under, it'll be under the zip code of their sponsor. So since that's something that this commission has been paying a lot of attention to, we'll also be getting the information to see where their activity will be taking place. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to member reports and comments. As a reminder, this is a time for commission members to report anything they feel important for the public or commission to know. It's not a time for discussion. Commissioner Barraza.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to point out the interest I have in learning about the recruitment for rating members, and I think we're having a report today on the process of the allocation of funds, and we'll probably get more into that discussion, but I'm interested in the response you've had from the community. I saw an invitation, and thanks to park staff, inviting members of the public to join those panels, or the panel that is going to be rating the grant applications. But I'm just kind of curious. I'm interested primarily in the cross-section representation of our communities on that rating panel. So I just wanted to make that observation.
Thank you. Commissioner Miller?
Nothing from me at this time.
Thank you. Vice Chair Ward?
I do want to mention that there is a lot of Measure P funded arts and culture activity happening across the city of Fresno. I really noticed the uptick starting around February of this year. And as we're heading into these summer months, there's just a lot happening during the week and especially on the weekends. So if you're looking to enjoy any of those arts and culture experiences, there's something for everyone. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that since I live in central Fresno, I've been driving by Broadway Parquet, and it's been making a lot of really great visible improvement. It looks like that park's coming along really well, so that's exciting to see.
Thank you. Commissioner Collier?
I just want to say that I was listening to Trevor Carey on the way over here, and he had somebody talking for the city that said the schools for the summer, they're going to charge kids $100. Are you familiar with that? You know, I didn't get the name of the guy from the city, but they said they were going to up the fees. And I was going to call Trevor Carey and try to find out who that was tomorrow. Anyway, that's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Dolan?
No reports at this time.
Thank you. I want to highlight an activity that's been taking place in West Fresno every third Wednesday of the month. Wednesdays on the West. It's been pretty successful. I've been out there a couple of times, It's good to see all the people coming out from the community out there. We have different vendors, different resource tables, and we have a DJ, and we just have really good time, really good food. And I would like to encourage everyone to support this effort that's being done every third Wednesday of the month. And also, to addition to that, we have a Wellness to the West Fest coming up. It's a one-year anniversary of the Wellness to the West Fest. It's Saturday, May 31st. It's a festival centered in healing and community, mixing our culture with movement, mindfulness, music, and more. They do a lot of free fitness, yoga and massages. They do a lot of exercising with our senior community, and they do a lot of walks in the neighborhood with our youth and our senior community. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the West Fest and Wednesdays on the West for doing such an awesome job and closing that gap to shine the light on. We need to be healthy, but we also need to be involved in our community and giving our youth something to do instead of just channeling that energy into something else. Thank you for being a positive influence in the community. Would like to have you guys more than just on Wednesdays, but thank you.
Commissioner McCoy, where does this take place?
Takes place in West Fresno. I will be sending out the flyer to all the commissioners of what I just spoke about, because there's flyers.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you. And now we will move on to the city administration and park staff reports and comments. Does anyone from the administration have any reports or comments for the commission?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to bring everyone's attention to a new tool that the mayor announced at the State of the City on May 8th, and it's a Build Fresno tool. So I'm going to show what the QR codes look like, and if you wanted to scan those, we'll have that up here. It's also on our website at fresno.gov/buildfresno, and the amazing part of this is it's updated in real time, and you can, once you get onto that site, it's a GIS monitored project step by step where we are in each of our projects. And there's tabs at the top for airports projects, all different types of city departments, but there's also a parks tab, and it'll list all the projects, where they are in the process. So it's an amazing tool. Anytime you are wondering where we are on a project like Broadway Parquet, you can click on that and you can see everything about that project. So just want to let everybody know about that, and if you want copies of this, we can get those made.
Thank you. That'll be helpful to have us, so then we can make copies and give out to our network. Thank you, TJ. Does anyone from the park staff have any reports or comments for the commission?
Good evening, Chair. No reports this week. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to unscheduled communication. Would any member of the public like to speak on any issue within the jurisdiction of this commission? You will have up to 3 minutes. As a reminder, if you would like to comment on a scheduled workshop and discussion items, now is the time to make those comments. If you would like to make a comment regarding any of the scheduled hearings, comments will be taken when each item is called.
I have Jade McAfee online.
Hello, good evening. My name's Jade McAfee. I am a resident of District 5, and I just wanted to make public comment about the rubric being used for the Expanded Access to Arts and Culture Fund panel. I really do recognize the amazing work being done by the Fresno Arts Council, but I did want to comment on the fact that it's a single point rubric. So each category, there are just 6 categories, and there's really so much room for subjective interpretation by panel members. It also means that there's not explicit descriptors for varying levels of performance, which makes it really hard for community members to improve year to year. And this early on, it's really essential that that feedback's provided to the public as we're building and implementing Measure P. It also means that those panel members who are on the panel, there's just like really open-ended subjectivity, meaning it's up to them whether or not it's a 6 or a 1 or a 2. This really makes it hard to ensure equity, which I know is a really big concern right now. And I would just really ask that there be improvement to the rubric made between now and next year. I know it might not be possible for this round, and that the rubric be a matrix that directly ties to the cultural arts plan. I also want to note that in the Cultural Arts Plan, it does say that each year there's supposed to be room for public feedback on this process, as well as the expanded arts and culture implementation. And I wanted to know when that information would be shared with the public, as far as where and when we'd be able to provide feedback directly to the Arts Council. I know that it's done more informally. I went, for example, to the meeting that happened at City Hall and that workshop, but I would love a more comprehensive listening session as it aligns with the Cultural Arts Plan. I think it'd be really helpful. The other thing I want to point out is that while the call this year was improved, I really appreciated the Arts Council posting it via socials. I think there needs to be more explicit alignment to that 50% mandate. And if we're not going to make sure that 50% of the panel is in the bounds of that mandate, meaning they're from neighborhoods who are mandated to receive 50% of those funds, that there be some sort of weighted increase to the way that things are scored in order to name those things. I think that it could increase equity. I could go on for the next 45 seconds that I have left to speak, but I'm just throwing that out there, and would love to reach out to the committee or commission to discuss this. It's something that I feel really passionately about, and I think there's so much room for improvement on what's already a huge effort by the Arts Council. It's just work that can't be done alone, and community feedback is really necessary for us to fully realize the vision of Measure P. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I have Jean Richards.
Good afternoon. Am I being heard okay?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to comment on the availability of the high school swimming pools and how poor it's been for the last several years, especially for the general public. I understand, of course, that during the pandemic, there had to be severe limitations, but even since then, in the last couple of years, the availability of the high school pools has been very, very limited, and it's really discouraging. I get the impression possibly the department keys in on the recreational aspect of the use of the swimming pools, but really I think it's more important to think about the health of the community, that having the availability of the pools for swimming, for general, like swimming laps for the general public, is really important to keep the health of the community up. So I would hope that more hours could be arranged. The last year, I believe it was only on the weekends, and some of us have a harder time on the weekends, and it would be better to have more weekday hours. I also get the impression it's possibly a problem with staffing. Used to hire these lifeguards and whatnot during the summer, but it's also discouraging because of passing Measure P. The department gets a lot more money. There shouldn't be a staffing problem, I don't think. So I pray that the health of the community could be better addressed, and especially Fresno High, which is the pool I would normally use closest to my residence, and look forward to swimming again. Thank you.
Next, we have Roxanne. Roxanne, are you there?
Can you all hear me okay? I'm on a computer. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Roxanne Villaluz, and actually I just wanted to underscore, Jade McAfee had just spoken a few minutes ago, and I just wanted to underscore the importance of what she was saying around the rubric, because when I did also go to the Fresno City Council, the Fresno Arts Council, they talked about the guidelines and the rubric. And one of the things that I asked also was about the rubric, because I think it's important that when folks are applying for this grant, especially if you're an individual artist, that it's really important for the artist or the organization to be able to write a grant so that they know that when I'm kind of focusing in on the cultural plan and I'm picking, let's say, one of the points on there that the panelists that are grading it also have the same understanding that I do about what it means to support the community, or if I'm doing a youth-centered project, that the panelists are also on that same page. So again, I think in the same vein, I know that they might not be able to do anything about it this year, but I think that having it was basically a box with 1 through 6 listed, and it was just a sentence for every point. And I think that does make it very difficult. I think that makes it hard on the panelists as well to be able to make some determinations, especially when there's a lot of money involved, and making sure that it is distributed in a way that is equitable and also can hit all the points that we're trying to do every year. So I just want to really underscore that and make sure that the public also has an opportunity maybe to assist, because I know that is a lot of work to create a rubric for something like that. So if there's a way for the public to be involved and maybe to help create that, and also to make sure that there is perhaps a training for the panelists to be able to go over the cultural plan, especially some of the points that might be a lot larger, have more information, to be able to have some kind of info session around that. So I just wanted to, again, make that a point that this is a great opportunity for folks, but I think it makes it a little bit more difficult if everyone isn't sort of seeing the same thing or looking and kind of being on the same page. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Dakari.
How everybody doing? Thank you for the moment to speak. I really just want to make a comment about what Ms. McCoy discussed about the Wellness to the West Fest. I'm Dakari Cleveland, the community organizer, one of the community organizers over the Wellness to the West Fest, and just really want to bring some more light to the event and what it is and the program and the services. Wellness to the West happens every first and last Saturday of the month with focus around community health and resources. Wellness to the West offers a series of activities designed to enhance the health and well-being of West Fresno residents while fostering community relationships. Activities are accessible to ages and all ages and fitness levels. Just knowing that the community really lacks a lot of access to fitness facilities or areas or programs in the Southwest area, and we just really want to make sure we create a space that is inclusive to hopefully just really build the social connection in the area, and hopefully just empower some of our residents as well. We have been operating the last year, so May 31st, we will be having our Wellness Fest, our 1-year anniversary, where we really just want to bring light to the work, and also just hopefully once again just foster a space where community can come together and connect and think a little bit different about how we all think about West Fresno, or some people think about West Fresno. One purpose of the work is really to revitalize the neighborhood and transform the negative history or perspectives that are being pushed out about the community, and just really shine light on the fact that there are grassroots efforts that are taking place that could possibly utilize some funds. We do pop up at the Southwest Fresno Park. What is it? Kearney Triangle Park, I believe it is, on the books, at the corner of Fresno and Kearney Street. We want to be able to get to the point of where we can hopefully operate every weekend and activate all of the parks in Southwest Fresno, whether it's Frank H., Nielsen, Fink White, and just really make access to health and wellness a little bit more accessible. And a little bit more about the program. It's a 3-hour program where we take an hour walk to organize the community and encourage physical activity and social interaction, where we have discussions. And then we move into stand-in fitness, where the group goes through fitness classes aimed to promote an active lifestyle. Then we move into yoga, which is a little more gentle. Still, everything is all levels and ages, to really just move into stress relief and mental well-being. And then also offer like massages, something that is really considered a little bit more of a luxury, but offering to a community that's been disinvested the last 40 plus years. But really want to invite everybody to come out to the Southwest Fresno Wellness to the West Fest, happening May 31st from 8 to 1 p.m.
There are no more speakers online or in chambers.
I have the card up here.
Ms. McCoy? Yeah,
Yeah, I have the card.
okay.
I'm getting ready to call her right now.
Okay.
Okay. And I love how you put the pronunciation on the card. I love it. Dejanay Senegal. Thank you, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, members of the commission. My name is Dejanay Senegal, and I'm a resident of District 3, and I'm speaking as a board member of Reach One to Teach One nonprofit. I would like to bring attention to an important issue regarding health and wellness access for women in our community. Since 2018, there have been no indoor wellness options specifically designated for women to participate in within the city of Fresno parks. During this time, women interested in improving their health and wellness and becoming involved in our community have had limited choices, either participate in outdoor softball or participate in co-ed leagues with men. This situation persisted until February of 2025, when Women's Elite Hoops established itself as a safe space here in District 3. I am proud to share that this program has successfully served over 300 families from diverse backgrounds, including 35% Hispanic and Latino women, 25% African and American women, 20% Caucasian, 15% Asian, and 5% Middle Eastern communities over the course of 8 weeks with no incidents in what is considered to be one of the more challenging areas of Fresno. Beyond promoting physical health, this initiative has also significantly contributed to mental and psychological well-being through small and large focus groups, which provide a supportive environment where women can build confidence, connect with others, and improve their overall wellness. What we are respectfully asking for is that equal access be provided to women throughout the Parks Department at one central location of Maxey Park, with the same opportunities and guidelines that are available to men. Every member of our community deserves inclusive, safe, and equitable access to health and wellness. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I would like to follow up with someone directly to further the conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No one else? All right, we will go ahead and close unscheduled communication and move on to workshops. ID number 25-562, workshop quarterly progress overview of the expanded access to arts and cultural grant program process Q1 2025. Will someone from the Fresno Arts Council please begin the presentation?
Good evening. Lilia Gonzalez Chavez of the Fresno Arts Council. Thank you. The report is the third quarterly report. I think your agenda says the first. But is it going to be? Yeah, okay. It should be coming up on your screen now, but a copy was attached to the agenda. I'm not going to, for that reason, I'm not going to read through all the points. You can see that we've been extremely busy, and with the report that the subcommittee provided, you also learned about what we're doing currently. So I'm just here if you have any questions or concerns that you'd like to share at this point.
Is it possible the next time you do a quarterly report to the commission that we receive it in a PowerPoint?
Sure.
Thank you.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
First of all, just wanted to take a moment to thank you for all the work that you and the Arts Council have done on this effort thus far. It's a lot of work, and you've handled it very gracefully. I'm just curious, from your standpoint, how do you think the process is going at this point?
I think it's going really well. I'm really pleased that the commission adopted the LOI process. The letter of interest allowed us to screen through those that had just what I call technical issues. They weren't issues related to the project, which allows us then to be sure that all those whose applications are reviewed are ready to receive the fund. So that, I think, was a positive, and we also were able to glean through those that were not ready, those that did not demonstrate readiness to apply.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dr. Chavez,
Yes.
this form that you have up here, do you have copies of that for the?
The report, it's right there, and you should have received it in your packet.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Barraza.
Madam Chair, the addition of the letter of intent at the start, I noticed that you had to postpone the deadline. What happened?
We didn't postpone the deadline. In fact, we extended the deadline, and we didn't have to, but after reviewing the number of applicants that we had received to date, or actually not to this date, but to the date of the closing of the original scheduled deadline, the committee determined that they would like to extend it just to see if we could get even more applicants. And in fact, we did. We actually almost doubled the number with that extension.
So right now you have a lot more money being requested than what you have available, right?
Yes, we have just about 6.2, and we have requests in over 20 million.
Wow. How about the process of the rating panel that I asked a little bit earlier? Is your process generating a cross-section from the community to participate?
We closed the application on Friday. I haven't reviewed all of them yet to determine if we need to fill in from any districts. If we do, that's what we will do. But at this point, it looks like we're getting a good mix of people from not only various council districts, but with varying degrees of expertise. So that's almost as important.
Okay. And I know that at some point we get a list of all those people and their ethnic background and all that, correct?
You will receive that list of all those that were accepted, because right now we're going to go through all those who applied, and some of them, because of conflict of interest or other issues, may not be eligible to serve. Once we've gleaned through that list, we'll submit that to the commission for review.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Collier, did you have a follow-up question for Dr. Chavez?
No, but I will echo what John said. Dr. Chavez, you've done an extraordinary job, and your staff and your board, it's excellent. Thank you for all your hard work.
Does any other commissioners have any other questions for Dr. Chavez? Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you. All right, we will now move on to hearings. ID number 25689, hearing presenting the Mayor's Parks After School Recreation and Community Service Department budget for fiscal year 2026 with public comment. We're going to hold our questions as a commission until after the presentation. Would someone from the Parks Department please begin the presentation? Oh, we get you today, huh?
You get me today. Deciding whether or not I wear glasses or not. All right. Good evening, Chair McCoy, members of the Parks Commission, Aaron Aguirre, Parks Director. Tonight I'll be presenting the Mayor's proposed parks budget for fiscal year 2026. But before I begin, I'd like to thank my entire Parks team and all their efforts over this past fiscal year and all the great stuff we've accomplished, as you'll see in this presentation. In addition to that, I'd like to thank Tu Zhong, who is not here with us today. He is my business manager. He is actually walking across the stage on Wednesday. He will be obtaining his doctorate from University of Baltimore. So I gave him the week off to go take advantage of that. But in addition to that, I also have our senior analyst, James Jackson, here, another talented individual on our team, fiscal team, who has helped put this budget together. And then, of course, you know my team over here, many who have presented to you all. But again, thank you to them for all of their efforts in the accomplishments you will see, as well as the members of my team who are not here, the folks who are on the ground making a lot of this happen. So thank you in advance to those folks. All right, there we go.
We need a staff member down here to do this, right?
I think so. You would think I need IT staff or something. But tonight, we have an agenda here for you. The first part of the agenda is to go through the mayor's proposed fiscal year 2026 budget breakdown. In addition to that, we will go through the department budget overview for parks. That'll contain the program and operations piece of the department. Then at that point, I will pass it off to Summer Rooks from our capital projects team to go through the overview of all of our capital projects that you all are probably mentioned earlier today, that you all have driven by, you've seen, and some that you have not been made aware of yet that will be breaking ground here soon that we're excited to announce. In addition to that, we will go through the fiscal year 2026 budget timeline. As you all know, this is a quick process to get to the June 2nd budget hearing. And then finally, the last item here for tonight's meeting will go through budget recommendations that you all can make tonight if you prefer, or wait till next week. But going through those recommendations, which then will go to City Council for their ultimate approval. Next slide here. This is a summary that outlines the 6 expenditure categories in Measure P, along with the city departments that are responsible for managing and overseeing these funds. As you'll see here on the screen, everything in green will fall under the Parks Department or has a portion of it. You'll see Category 1, Category 2, Category 3, Category 4, 5, and then 6. Category 5, you'll see Public Works has 3 funds there, and then Public Utilities also has a portion of Category 5. And then you'll also notice, I believe this might be new to this budget year, but capital projects are shown in categories 1 and 2. Just to highlight this, I do want to note, we talked about this last year. This is our second year where we've created sub-funds in categories 1 and 2. Again, that's to differentiate the dollars for citywide operations, as well as the city high needs definition that you all adopted this past December 2024. So you'll see funds 2701 are going to be your citywide, 2711 are going to be your high needs, and that's the same for category 2. 2702 is citywide, 2712 is our highest needs, and then you'll see the remaining sub-funds, category 3, 2703, category 4, 2704, which is a pass-through to the Arts Council, and then 2707, that's category 5, San Joaquin River Parkway, and then of course 2706 is the admin piece of it. Do want to go through some total revenue figures here. Category 1, you'll see a beginning balance of $4.9 million. That's carryover from this past fiscal year. That will be added to our projected sales tax revenue of 10.8 in Category 1. And then the other revenue there is the interest that is earned throughout the year. So a total of $16.1 million in Category 1, 2701. Moving on to 2711, same thing, that balance of $7.9 million is a carryover. 10.853100 is the taxes that will go into highest needs category, and then the other revenue, again, the 1.257 is interest that's earned. Moving on down that same column there, you'll see our operating budget in parks, $10,307,000 in 2701, and then $8,695,000 in 200. Do want to draw to your attention the Public Works item. There's $0 budgeted this year. Part of the mayor's proposed budget shows the landscape division that was previously in Public Works being moved over to the Parks Department. So the Parks Department would inherit the 50 maintenance workers who go into maintaining and irrigating our parks. That would come over to the department. And then in addition to that, you'll also notice the park rangers budget, the 1.496 plus the 500,000 for a total of just under $2 million. So, and then you'll see down below too in those capital budgets, $3.7 million and 9.4. So again, kind of same format. If you look over to the far right, you'll see the total parks operating budget in Measure P this year is $23,401, and I think it's 200. Public Works, you see they still have a portion of Category 5, as previously mentioned, $1.3 million. Public Utilities still has the Category 5, 2708, which is street beautification, to the tune of $1.448. Park Rangers, as I mentioned, just under $2 million. Operating and Finance, they manage our the audit of Measure P, $99,200. And then, as I mentioned, the Arts and Culture, there's $11.1 million in this year's budget. That would be, again, as I mentioned, a pass-through to the Arts, Fresno Arts Council to administer the grant program. And then Capital has a total of $45 million. Total appropriations, $84,583,000. As I mentioned, Category 1, I've highlighted the sections here, again, where they are located under parks. You'll see Category 1, 2701 and 2711 are highlighted for just an ease of viewing based off of this document here, as well as our capital projects. So you'll see capital projects down below, the $90,800 and the $59,900. That's soft cost for the project managers, permitting, and everything goes into moving our capital portfolio through the system. And then again, as I mentioned, Category 1, those numbers there. Category 2, as you all know, this is 21.5% of the funds. This is going towards new neighborhood parks, senior and youth recreation facilities. So again, 21.5% of these funds will go towards those categories, and you can see that breakdown of the taxes, about $5 million, a little over $5 million in each category. You will notice the beginning balances are different. Again, that's carryover. And then you'll notice the other revenue, which is the interest, is it's exactly the same, $350,700. Yeah, it's a typo, one says 200. But again, just want to note that highest need definition we did approve, or you all did approve along with council, the new definition. These funds that are here, the carryover balance or the beginning balance, that will stay with the old definition that was back to fiscal year 2022, 23, and 24. So while those dollars do move over, they are categorized and set aside to meet that old definition. So the new $5 million you see here will go towards the new definition. So Category 3 here, this is our least funded category out of the ones you see here, counting categories 1 through 5, not counting 6. 8.5% of the funds go towards this category, and this is the money that goes towards youth and senior recreation programs, after-school programs, and job training for youth and veterans. So you can see here taxes, a little over $4 million. You have your the revenue stream there, which is the interest, about $80,000, and then moving on down, total appropriations, $3.7 million. And again, I do want to note, you know, the $4 million you see up above total revenue and total appropriations. Total revenue is based off of our consultants' projections, so they won't necessarily line up as far as, you know, the appropriations and the total revenue. Again, it's based off of projections, so we typically budget just a little under in case there are some slowdowns in the sales revenue. As you all know, this is tied to that. That way, we're not appropriating the full amount, and so that's why you see that discrepancy there. Category 4, as I mentioned, this is the money that we just finished hearing from the Fresno Arts Council. This year, we have $11.4 million shown in revenue, and we've appropriated $11.1, almost $11.2 million of that for the Fresno Arts Council and the expanded access to arts. Category 5, you'll hear a little bit from us today, but most of that's going to come next week with Public Works and Public Utilities talking through their beginning balances, their revenues, and the plans that they have in place. For instance, Public Works for the $1.3 million and Public Utilities the $1.4 million. Do want to note in here, as I mentioned, Category 5, you do see it under Parks. That $125,100 is to fulfill the Milburn Overlook capital project that is set to begin later this summer. So again, that's the project management cost, that's construction management's cost, permitting costs, and so forth to deliver that project. So moving on to the department overview. You all have seen our mission statement and our vision statement, but the Parks Department is committed to enhancing the quality of life for the community by providing safe, clean, accessible parks and community centers, offering diverse programs and recreational activities, and fostering meaningful partnerships. And I can truly say this is something that is lived by each employee each and every day. The passion they have to fulfill our community's needs is something that's unmatched, so I just wanted to highlight that. This is our organizational chart. As you'll see here, these are kind of the 5 pillars of the department. Do want to draw to your attention on the operations. You'll see landscape has been added. As I mentioned, that's the program that was previously shown under Public Works in the mayor's proposed budget is shown coming under the Parks Department. And then we've also added, I don't believe we had it last year, but under community service on the far right, camp. So that's going to include your Camp Fresnos and some of those other camps we offer. So Parks Department, our accomplishments in 2025, you can see there's quite a few of them. I won't go through each and every one of them. You'll get to hear quite a few of these from Ms. Rooks here in a minute, but do want to highlight the 5 new parks that are in construction, or what we call pre-construction, that are awaiting a notice to proceed. The Paul Capriolio Center, you all remember a few years back, we redesigned the north building. This is to bring the southern building online, which will give us another senior community center where we will be able to offer meals to that community. Peach Avenue Park off of Butler and Peach, that's something that is under works. It's in construction and just awaiting a name, which is going through that piece, or will be going through with the new council member on board. Dolores Huerta Park, Milburn and Dakota. This is a facility, about a 4-acre park. Contract has been awarded by council. We are, again, awaiting notice to proceed. We're going through some of the deferred submittals, and that will be something that we will break ground on later this fall. Broadway Park, Commissioner Ward talked about it today. We're moving along on that at a very good pace and expect to have that ready for the community this summer. And then we have Les Kimber Park in southwest Fresno, and that too is moving along at a great pace. New parks that are in design, there's 7 of them. Just to highlight some of those, you all are aware of the Citywide Senior Center. Just to name a few, we have 11th and Tulare. There's a new park there that is proposed to go in. And then a number of capital improvement projects, 24 have been completed. Some of those include California Tutman, Tot Lot and Shade structure installment, Cary Tot Lot, shade structure, bleachers, field improvements, which are coming the next month. We also have the Mosqueda pole fencing, improvements to the Pinedale Community Center, the Roding Regional Tot Lots, which are just about completed, will be opening up to the community officially later this month, correct? And just a number of other projects, Romaine futsal courts, the regional sports complex, repurposing soccer field, or one soccer field, to a cricket pitch. In addition to that, Jaswat Singh Park in D3 had another area that is being converted to a cricket pitch. So those are moving along, and we hope to have those ready to go this summer as well. So Willem Bolt Tot Lot, and just a number of other projects. And then one thing I do want to highlight, a lot of these projects you see here and you've heard me talk about, but the one thing I didn't talk about yet are the community engagement events that we've had. Over 20 of those events. Those 20 events have allowed us to touch and hear from almost 2,000 individuals throughout the city on how they want their parks to look, the type of amenities they want to see in their parks. So number of ribbon cutting, groundbreaking events, you name it. So I'm excited to get out in the community and hear from them and really see them use their facilities. Continued on there, we launched 2 new youth programs this year, cricket and then futsal. Futsal was a new program that we added. Cricket came on close to the beginning of last year, and we've seen great growth in both sports, so excited to see that. Our youth fee waiver program, proud to report 66 of our participants have utilized the youth fee waiver program that you've all put in place. Camp Fresno registration, as of May 9th, and I have an updated number that I got earlier, so I'm going to go off script a little bit, but I think we were at 1,323 registrations as of this morning. These are the youth going up to Camp Fresno for overnight and day camps. So we continue to see growth in that camp. In addition to that, the aquatics that we talked about, we have almost 2,400 kids who have signed up so far for free swim lessons this year. And then again, just a number of local, state, and federal grants to support these programs has been a huge success. This was kind of covered in the first couple slides, but just want to break down our total appropriations. Again, this includes all of our funding sources: federal grants, state grants, Measure P, and general fund. So you all can take a look at that. And then finally, I talked about, our makeup of what the department looks like. You can see in FY24, we had 159 total parks employees. Last year, we had 162, and then you'll see the jump to this year, proposed 212 positions. Again, you'll notice the direct services, the 50, those are the positions I referred to earlier in the slide where I talked about those coming over from Public Works into the Parks Department. So a lot of growth in the department, and again, I think you've seen with the growth, the enhancements, and the amount of great things we've been able to do here in the community. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Summer Rooks to go through the capital projects review. In this, she will go through, as I mentioned, current projects, projects in design, and give you a status, and then we'll walk through the timelines and other items. So, Ms. Summer.
Thank you, Aaron. Okay, good evening, Commissioners. My name is Summer Rooks, and I'm a Projects Administrator for the City of Fresno Parks Department Capital Division. And tonight, I'm pleased to present to you the Parks Fiscal Year 2025-2026 Capital Projects Portfolio. We'll begin the presentation tonight with a brief Fiscal Year 2025 year in review, where I'll just take a moment to expand on the accomplishments that Aaron mentioned earlier. And then we'll review the fiscal year 2026 proposed budget for our capital projects. To hopefully provide a little bit more of a simplified presentation for a very large portfolio, we've divided the projects into a couple of categories, primarily ones that are of a sufficient funding to complete through construction based on current project estimates, and then projects that may be seeking additional construction funding. They may have only been funded through design or master plan. And then lastly, I'll touch briefly on acquisitions and then review our upcoming budget timeline. Oops. All right, so a lot of exciting work has happened and is continuing to happen in the fiscal year 2025. After the approval of the FY25 budget, the capital projects team initiated 12 new projects, including 1 new acquisition, 3 new amenities, 2 new developments, and shortly I'll describe what kinds of projects fall into each of those categories. In addition to the newly initiated projects, we are also on track to complete 24 projects substantially completed through the end of the fiscal year. And that is an incredible achievement, but an even more incredible achievement, an unprecedented achievement, is the awarding of 30 projects, construction contracts this last year, totaling approximately $61 million of funding, 13 million of that being Measure P. And to provide you a brief snapshot of where we are at currently as of May of 2025, of the 97 projects that we currently have in various stages, we have 3 acquisitions, and acquisitions are projects whose intent is just to buy new land. 11 net new developments, which are projects whose intent is to develop that bare land. 23 net new amenities, which are projects that bring new program elements to an existing park. So like a court where one doesn't exist, or even field lighting to extend the hours of play. We'll have 12 major renovations, which are projects whose intent is to demolish and reconstruct more than 25% of the amenity or asset. And then 48 capital improvement projects, which are projects that are aimed at repairing or replacing existing amenities with likely in-kind amenities, typically just bringing them up to code. And as you can see by my pie chart here, capital improvements are about 50% of our portfolio. So moving into the fiscal year 2026 proposed budget, again, for simplicity's sake, what we tried to do was designate through the proposed budget projects into two main categories. Projects that are currently sufficiently funded to complete through construction based on current project estimates, and then projects that only have funding sufficient to complete design or master plan. So first going through our first set of projects completing with sufficient funding to complete. These projects will actually be completing by the end of the fiscal year. So although these projects will be substantially complete, this list will be substantially complete, meaning that the majority of the construction work is finalized and only small finishing touches are needed. Projects on this list may still have a small amount of fiscal year 26 funding just to finalize the project and complete final project closing activities. I won't read each of these projects, but I will highlight just some notable items. Firstly, to orient us to the slide, projects here that have an asterisk are projects that do not have any Measure P funding. And then projects that are bolded are projects that will complete within the next 30 days. So projects that are not bolded are already complete. Of the 24 projects listed here, 10 of the projects were actually located in parks located in District 3. 7 of them were located in projects of highest need, of parks of highest needs. 7 of the projects improved existing play equipment, play areas, and then we were actually able to add our 9th splash pad at Fink White this last year as well. I'll also highlight briefly Cary Park, just as kind of a shining example of the testimony and the power of Measure P and leveraging other funding sources. In addition to a restroom replacement project in 2016 and a field lighting project in 2019, Cary also now, through the completion of these projects, has an improved petanque court, a new tot lot with softball safety surfacing and shade, a new circumnavigable walking loop with upgraded bleachers, and within 30 days we'll have updated baseball field turf improvements and new puck boards for the hockey rink. So really, all of those improvements amount to approximately just under $3 million invested, and is, again, truly a testimony to what the power of this funding can do. Moving on to other projects, again, with sufficient funding to complete construction, this list of 34 projects is expected to substantially complete within the next 2 fiscal years. So, again, I won't name each project. However, I will note that only 4 of these 34 projects are ones that do not have any Measure P funding. And then additionally, even more exciting, is this project includes those new developments that Aaron was speaking about earlier, which will amount to 25 acres, more than 25 acres of net new land to our park system. A really great achievement and something I'll expand again on soon. So moving into our fiscal year 26 proposed budget, projects that are only funded through design. These projects may have only been funded through design or master plan for a variety of reasons, but typically it has to do with uncertainty of available funding at the time or projected project costs. And so this first set of projects that you see on screen here are projects that are ones that are completed through 90% design. This means that essentially all elements of the design are completed and the project's ready for building and safety review. Typically, these projects, once funding is identified and allocated, they can be awarded within 3 to 6 months. And again, here are just 8 of those projects that we have within our portfolio. Oops. Oh gosh, sorry. There we go. The next set of projects here are, again, projects that are only funded through design or master plan, but are still going through the design process. So, again, I won't list out each of the projects, but I would like to take a moment to highlight one of the major projects that we've been working on this last year, the West Fresno Community Rehabilitation Master Plan Project. You may remember the workshop that we provided at the beginning of this, at the kickoff of the event, of the project, excuse me. So over the last year, our team has collected hundreds of comments and feedback from the community, from the West Fresno community, regarding the rehabilitation priorities for 4 of our community centers, Frank H. Ball, Mariella Brown, Maxie L. Parks, and Sunset. And I'm happy to report that we are nearing the end of the master planning process. We are finalizing our revisions on that report. And within the next year, we should have, or excuse me, within the next month, we should have a comprehensive renovation strategy. With that, it'll have phased recommendations for us to actually initiate our subsequent projects. And with the information, we'll be able to identify the low-hanging fruit projects that can be immediately initiated. And then also, we'll come away with a product that will allow us to easily apply to grants as they become available. Now, in addition to improving our existing facilities, it's equally important to pursue new acquisitions to expand our open space. So, although we will be adding 25 acres within the next couple of years, we understand through our Parks Master Planning process that the need is far greater. So, to facilitate this, in our fiscal year 2026 budget, it includes approximately $19.9 million of unallocated funding to purchase new land. So this consists of a variety of funding years. $11.5 million of funding is designated to purchase land per the old high needs definition, fiscal year 22 to 24. We have $7.7 million designated for purchase of parcels within the new high needs definition, and then $780,000 within the citywide definition. And so an abundance of funding, definitely, but it is critical for the city and the department to really strategically identify the most appropriate parcels for pursuit with the goal of maximizing our acreage. You know, we need to answer, how can we move away from the pocket park model, especially when we're looking at developing within our very highly developed urbanized core. So to begin this year, our department will begin collaboration with other city departments to actually understand what's already within our city inventory that may actually be better used as a park. So we'll go through that analysis. Then we'll take our general plan and our specific plans, and we'll review those for any land uses that are already allocated as park space. A lot of great research has gone into those specific efforts, and we want to ensure that we are analyzing those primarily. But on top of that, we also have a wonderful Measure P analysis that really highlights where those disparities are. Primarily, we understand west of the 99, Tower, Southwest Fresno. And so utilizing that Measure P analysis, we can then layer that on top of our other specific and general plans to then begin narrowing down targeted areas for acquisition. And lastly, and maybe most importantly, we'll continue to gather community input on areas of opportunity within the city, again, especially in highly developed areas within our urbanized core. Sometimes in these areas, vacancies or vacant properties are not as readily identifiable to staff, and so it's very helpful when we have the community identifying those properties and recommending them for acquisition. By the end of this fiscal year, we hope to not only have a comprehensive plan for acquisition, but also several acquisitions underway to then further continue our project pipeline. Okay, So that concludes the fiscal year 2025-2026 capital portfolio review. I'll briefly go over our budget timeline and then open the floor to questions. So today is 5/19. You've heard the after-school recreation and community service presentation as well as the capital projects presentation. As Erin mentioned, you're more than welcome to make recommendations this evening. However, there will be another opportunity on the 27th where you will also hear the landscape trails beautification and San Joaquin River Parkway presentation. Again, another opportunity to provide budget recommendations. And then with those recommendations, the department will take them to council and to our budget hearings the week of 6/2. From there, council will vote on their motions on the 10th of June, and then hopefully adopt their budget on the 19th. However, they do have a last scheduled date to adopt that on the 26th. As a reminder, for those who have been through this with us before, this is the recommended model to provide your recommendations in. So for example, I motion to allocate $100,000 to the construction of a new playground at Summer Rooks Park. And as a reminder, these are your recommendations made to date this fiscal year. So these were noted during our mid-year process. And with that, I will open to questions.
Well, thank you for that presentation. Does any member of the commission have any questions in regards to this hearing?
Chair McCoy?
Yes.
First of all, Summer, thank you for that presentation and for all the work that went into that. There's a lot there and a lot of information. I appreciate that. Erin, you did a good job too. And I have a question. Director Aguirre, you were talking about the number of dollars for acquisition, I believe, under the old highest needs definition. And I think when Summer did her presentation, that was $11.5 million in that acquisition fund and 7.7 under the new definition.
That's correct.
Since that land has not been acquired or put into contract yet, as far as I understand, why would we just not shift all the money into the new definition? We can't?
We cannot.
Just because that was done under the old...
The old definition of the 22-24
Can
adoption.
someone silence their cell phone, please? Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So it's because it was approved under a certain definition. Got
Correct.
that. And then one other quick question. You mentioned grant funding as part of the budget. Given what's happened at the federal level with much of the funding sources, has that had any impact on the budget?
So far, we have not seen any implications on our end on the funding yet. I know others have, other organizations have, but as the Parks Department, we have not seen any lags in our funding.
Have we made or do we need to make any contingency plans in that regard? If that funding gets pulled, for example, is that going to stop some projects that are in?
Yeah, and most of it's state funding,
oh, okay.
Like Prop
okay.
68,
okay.
FMAAA, our senior money. So,
all right, so there's not a lot of federal dollars at stake.
Correct. We did go after a couple federal grants, which we were not awarded, so those would really be, I think, the ones that were in jeopardy, but most of them are state.
Okay, thank you.
How much in Prop 68 funding did we receive for parks? Did we go after any last year and this year?
So we didn't have a call last year, I'm aware, but the two projects, Radio Park and Dolores Huerta, was about $15 million that we have, and those are, as I mentioned, Dolores Huerta has been awarded by council, so that's getting ready to go to construction. Radio Park, we're working through some value engineering, and we'll have an update on that hopefully here in July sometime.
And with the upgrades to Radio Park, is that going to be like bathrooms and what other type of upgrades?
So Radio Park will see a new splash pad, a new tot lot. We'll demo the existing restrooms and go more towards a style where the restrooms are kind of single stall with the sinks and other features on the outside to kind of deter people from going in with bikes and things of that nature. In addition to that, the soccer field will get reoriented to a north-south look. There's right now kind of a stage area in the southwest corner walking trail. There will be areas for art installations, an outdoor classroom setting. I believe there's some benches, seat walls, if they're seat walls, right? Correct.
No exercise equipment yet along the trails, huh?
Push-ups work, right?
Yeah, I'm pushing for it. I had some other questions, but I'll go ahead and let other commissioners ask. Go ahead, Commissioner Miller.
I just had a real quick question about the staffing levels, the 50 people coming from Public Works to do landscaping. I think that's great. My question is it a net increase or decrease citywide, or is it really 50 employees coming from Public Works to Parks?
Correct. It's really just a transfer of the positions from Public Works into
It's not like 48 people now and 50
Correct.
people in the budget. It's exactly 50 people.
Correct. So the positions that we're referencing, those were in the Parks operating budget, maintaining our assets. So essentially, they're just now going to be under our department.
Okay, Roger that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Singh, and then Commissioner Barraza.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to add a little bit to the question from Commissioner Miller, what was the reason for making that change? Before, it was more popular for Public Works to do that work. And in fact, all the work went to Public Works. Now it's coming back to Parks. Why?
I think it does a couple of things for the Parks Department. It allows us to operate and maintain our facilities. You know, we have a lot of reservations. We have a lot of activities that go on in our facilities. It really allows us to control the look and feel of the facilities. But more importantly, I think it gives us that ownership. You know, the kind of what we do on with the whole operation of area managers. If somebody has a complaint, they can come directly to the Parks Department, get the response. Right now, it's, hey, Public Works maintains our landscapes. You know, I think it's just continuity of operation, too. It allows us to couple those employees with our existing staff and really make the parks thrive. Not to say Public Works hasn't done a great job. They have. I'm a little biased because I was in Public Works when they initially transferred from Parks to Public Works. So I have a lot of experience with building that program that they're running now. So I really think it's more of an efficiency standpoint, working with our teams, working with our parks, and working with our customer service team. You know, a lot of reservations, field improvements that we need to coordinate. It's really something that I think is going to benefit us, and I think it's going to benefit Public Works too, because they have a wide variety of assets they maintain as well. They have median islands, they have trails, they have right-of-ways, the urban forestry. So I think this gives them an opportunity to really focus in on their properties as well.
So you could have Public Works staff doing the maintenance of the landscaping on the right-of-way, and then right inside on the other side of the fence where you have a park, you have Parks people doing the maintenance of the park.
So I think in that case, the maintenance you're referring to would probably be more in the medians than our right-of-way. That would all fall under Parks. So you think of Pillowbo's Park, right? They're on Lane Avenue, those buffers along there, that would all be part of the park maintenance. It would not fall on Public Works. You wouldn't have the Public Works individuals working on the sidewalk while we're mowing the park. We would have the entire parcel that is owned by Parks and managed by Parks being maintained by the Parks landscape teams.
Okay. The other question I have, and thank you, Mr. Aguirre, for adding the recommendations of the commission at the end of the presentation. My question is, what recommendations that are being made by your office and the mayor's office and the city manager's office, are you incorporating any of our recommendations as part of your recommendations, or are we left alone there to see what happens?
No, and I think there are a number of recommendations that you all have made. I know on Category 5, meeting with Commissioner Kucharski last week, as well as Commissioner Kalia, a lot of those have been addressed in this budget. In addition to that, there were some landscape concerns or conservation items that have been addressed in this budget. So there are a number of items in there. Unfortunately, you know, with the kind of the sales tax, you know, and some of the numbers we're seeing, some of the capital investment may not be there. Again, I think with, as Ms. Rooks was talking about, you know, our portfolio at one time had like 190 projects. getting back to really finishing what we've started is kind of a major priority in this budget here. So again, I think a lot of the recommendations that you all have mentioned are things that are in this budget and have continued to be in the budget. Youth fee waiver, the landscape sustainability piece, the trail component. So I think you'll see a lot of items that were recommended that will be in this proposed budget.
And then we can say that most of the recommendations for new parks probably came from the master plan, right? That this commission was instrumental in approving. Am I correct?
I think there's a combination. So you had some that came from the master plan. You had some that came from council. And I think you had some that were grant opportunities to leverage Measure P dollars on. So I think you have a combination of projects that came from a different number of sources.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Singh.
Thank you, Director and Summer, for a fantastic presentation. I had a question going back to the topic of our budgeted positions for FY 2026. Why is there a decreasing trend for the after-school number of employees?
So you're referring to the 85 that we had in fiscal year 25 to 83 now?
Yeah, and even before it was 97 and a half, so.
Right. So if you'll notice in the admin and capital delivery, that increased to 25. So those positions then went to that component. So you'll notice our overall numbers didn't change as far as decreasing. They did increase. But again, there were some organizational changes in there, just like you'll notice, which one is it? Once, ONSCE. Last year it had 6, this year it had 5. So really just some shuffling organizationally, which then moved some of those numbers around. But all in all, we had the same number of positions plus the 50 we're getting now.
So, I'm assuming the after-school positions probably work more hands-on with the youth that are part of those programs, right? Or is that also part of the admin and capital?
No, that's a fair statement. Our rec specs, our community recreation assistants typically fall under the after-school. Those are the folks that are in our community centers working with our youth, working with the patrons who come in. So, yeah.
So are those positions usually occupied by more like high school youth or like college youth? Or are they also kind of older than that?
So most of them are going to be probably older based on the job description and some of the qualifications. They do require education, some experience. So typically you're going to see some of our community recreation assistants. I don't want to guess ages here, but they'll probably be on the younger side, And then our recreation specialists who have, again, a few more years of experience that they gained as a community rec assistant are probably a little bit older than those folks. But, typically our high school students are going to fall into our like aquatics program and some of those features where we have like the junior lifeguard and some of the young lifeguard opportunities for them. They typically fall in that category.
Okay. So, yeah, I just want us to be a little bit wary because I do think that more kind of the decreasing number does worry me just because, students having more one-on-one or kind of more intimate groups, I guess, in these after-school programs is important. And so we shouldn't also overwhelm the after-school program assistants or whoever, right? And then my other question was, how much money is going towards the pickleball construction at Woodward Park?
So that currently does not have any construction funding. It's design only. So I think it was 2 years ago there was a motion to fund that design only. So if I'm not sure what slide it was, but in one of Ms. Rooks' slides, it showed that had design only.
But we were proposing construction funding for this, no?
No,
okay.
we just wanted to show these projects have, in some cases, 60% design, 90% design, could be ready to go, kind of shovel-ready plans if construction funding were available. But right now, we do not propose any funding for the Woodward Park pickleball facility.
Okay, cool. I have more questions, but I'll pass it on.
So those that you gave us were just like if there was funding available, they can go, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Vice Chair Ward?
Yes, thank you. So one of our recommendations we made in the mid-year process was to have $50,000 towards a grant program in memory of Dr. Apuda, which would, I think, support nonprofits doing things in the parks throughout the city of Fresno. And I know this is something this commission has asked for at different levels over prior years as well. and that would be Category 3 funding. I think it's the least funded bucket,
Yep.
but it still has almost $4 million that'll be appropriated for it. I know last year, I think maybe when we asked, you said you didn't see that there was money available within that category to really advocate for and pursue that grant program. At this requested level at the $50,000, is that something that you think could be advocated for by the Parks Department to go into effect next year, possibly?
I think there are some solutions to get there. And just to note, the $4 million you mentioned plus the expenses, there's not the full $4 million as you mentioned, but yeah. I think it's something that we could potentially work with. I know Chair McCoy is very near and dear to your heart as well as ours, but yeah, I think that's something we can look at achieving this year.
How do we help you with that? I mean, as Vice Chair Ward said, we have put this in front as a recommendation,
Correct.
I think, for 2 fiscal years now.
Yeah, and again, this budget at this point has been proposed by the mayor. It's balanced. We'll go to council. At that point, it's really going to be council who's going to make that motion, again, based off of your recommendations, right? Our work, we can't go in and add anything new to it. It's balanced at this point. So really, it's going to come down to your recommendations here as a commission, as well as the council member making that motion to get this into the budget.
Would it help for commissioners to come down and testify during city council?
I mean, I believe all are welcome. I'll ask the deputy city attorney
Can't
to
say you're a commissioner.
exactly what there's.
I just represent myself as a private citizen.
Right. I don't know if Angela wants to chime in on what you can say and cannot say.
Join on Zoom.
Yeah. No,
Fake name.
Yes.
Chair McCoy stated you can come, but you do have to speak on a personal basis. You cannot speak on behalf of the commission. The chair or her designee could attend the meetings in case the council has any specific questions. They can ask, they may call upon the chair, but the bylaws itself requires that any commission, it would have to be as an individual basis and not representing the commission.
Roger that. Okay.
And on page 28 of the presentation, it gives us a way
Right,
to do the motion that we've been doing for the past, 3 years. Yeah, so.
Chair, can I ask one more follow-up question, please?
Yes.
Aaron, you talked about the swap over of landscaping from public works to parks. Does that include tree care and arborists, or is that just?
No, that will remain with Public Works. They have their urban forestry division. That will stay with Public Works. We work closely with their arborists. We work closely with them as far as their requirements contract, tapping into that for our ongoing tree trimming. But no, that will not be a part of the transfer over.
Lots of trees in the parks.
Lots of trees in the parks, and again, a lot of needs, and I'm well aware of those needs. And we do have money in this year's budget in FY25. We will be trimming more trees. Again, this is an investment in parks that, again, when I was in Public Works, just wasn't there. Parks at one point had $65,000 to trim all their trees. This year we had about $300,000. So we're still, again, kind of putting my maintenance hat on right from the old Public Works days. There's a lot of needs out there, and that doesn't just go into trimming trees. That's removing dead trees, exactly. Hazardous trees, palms that have the big beards, and going back and replanting what we removed. So in addition to tree trimming, it is going back and restoring what was once there.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Kurcharski.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I have a question on the acquisitions. I was just curious, it says unallocated funding. Does that mean you decided that you wanted to use it for acquisitions? Or was that always set aside as an acquisition? I didn't understand the connection, I guess.
Yeah, so the money that we call here the unallocated, it's money that can go towards the purchase of land, or it can go towards the development of a parcel. Let's say a piece of land that we own currently. It can go towards that development of it as the measure reads. So if we had a piece of land that we land banked 10 years ago that we own, we could go through and develop plans, build, and construct. Or we can go acquire, design, build, and construct as well.
So any of your capital projects, this money could be used for any of that, towards any of the capital projects too?
only new parks. I can't use it for existing parks. So it's intended to expand our green space and acquire land and really build new amenities.
So question, I guess, then, is it in one of these categories? I think it was, is it category 1?
Yes.
Okay. And then does that show up here in the budget, that amount? Or is this all just a separate, because it's all different years kind of?
Yeah, so
over?
in slide
I was
4,
just curious.
I highlight category 1 and what that beginning balance looks like, plus this year's taxes. No, she's talking about category 1. You're talking about, Commissioner, you're talking about category 1 existing parks, correct?
I guess I'm asking where it is, yeah, where the acquisitions amount shows up.
Oh, I'm
in the
sorry.
budget. Yeah,
Category 2.
Category 2.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I thought you were
Oh,
talking
it's
about.
under new. Yeah, I didn't know. I was.
Yeah. So in that there, Commissioner, you'll see category 2, 2702. That's citywide funding that can be used anywhere. And then you have 2712. That's dedicated to the high needs neighborhood. So that has to be used in the high needs neighborhood, the 50% mark that you all recommend and council approved.
Okay, so all the acquisition funding is a category 2.
Correct.
Okay, that's helpful. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
I thought you were talking about new parks.
Oh,
Or
well,
existing parks.
I didn't know. Yeah, thank you for clarifying.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Collier.
No questions.
No questions? Okay. I have a couple of questions. Why is it taking so long to get an HVAC system on Maxi Parks when that gym is highly utilized?
So you're right. It has taken a while to get that funded and get that built. I will confirm, but I believe, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, is the funding available in this budget? So, right, so the money was requested through the CDBG process to help through that. So I think we have an item coming June 12th. At that point, if that all goes through, then we'll have the money to construct that HVAC system for Maxi.
That'd be great if we can
Yes, it
get
would.
that done. And I have another question. It kind of confuses me with the Parks Ranger and their budget and then how they're housed under PD. So does PD include their budget in their budget for the fiscal year 2026, as well as the Parks Department?
You know what, I know it's shown in our budget, as I showed in category 1, the 1.4 plus the 500, roughly $2 million. I don't believe it shows up, and I can ask Assistant City Manager if she has any insight on their budget, but I don't believe it shows up twice, if that's...
It doesn't show up twice. The positions, though, I believe, show up in police's budget, and then they're reimbursed by Parks Measure P.
Oh, so it's a little tricky. Okay. It is a little tricky because from the time that the language was written and this measure was passed, from the understanding the Parks Ranger program was supposed to be under the Parks Department, not the Police Department and not those positions. So then when we get the budget, it appears that it comes in the Parks Department budget and the Police Department budget. So it's a little tricky. So just a little transparency for the public who's in the room and who's online to understand that it's only supposed to show up under the Parks Department and that those positions are under Fresno Police Department with the promise of reimbursement, correct?
The funding is in Parks Department under the Measure P funding. That's the funding source for the park rangers. And then in the Police Department, the positions, the actual physical position control numbers are in the police budget, and then they show it as revenue to pay for those positions. So it is transparent in terms of it's an expense on the park side and revenue for police.
Still a little confusing, but I guess we have to live with it. We can't change it, but it's a little confusing. I mean, we are confused, so just imagine if the public is listening and they're hearing that, seeing the park rangers looking like park rangers, but they're driving police automobiles that say park rangers, and then when they're trying to review the budget or understand the budget, it appears like it's a pot of money here and a pot of money there. So it's still a little confusing because it's still a little confusing to me as well, but maybe as we go along, we'll get a better grip on it. but it's still confusing to me.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to follow up on something related to the park rangers. I noticed that on the existing parks, it says 1.49 million, and then on the other category, it says 501 for the highest needs parks. Does that mean that only 500,000 goes into the highest needs?
No, the 1.4 is citywide, and that money can be used throughout all of our parks. So that 1.4 can bleed into our highest needs neighborhood parks. So just because it shows the 501,000 in highest needs, 1.496, $1.5 million that's shown in citywide is still used to patrol and manage the high needs parks as well, based on their policing districts and how they're structured.
So that 500 could be higher than what it is?
Yes. Yeah, especially now going forward with the new definition in our inventory, going from, I think we had, 24 parks in the old definition to 54 now. So that number will increase this upcoming year just based off the number of highest need parks now that are in the definition.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And also, this will be the last question from me. I know I'm starting to be very vocal now, huh?
No.
The West Fresno Community Center Rehabilitation Master Plan, so that's complete, right? So what's the next steps for this project?
I'm going to have Summer speak to that.
Yes, very exciting. So we are complete with that process. We're finalizing the report revisions now, and in a month we should have a finalized report. So next steps are to work with the administration to understand what phases are feasible to fund into construction. And so once we identify proper phasing recommendation, then we would go, so we've designed to 30% or master plan, then we would proceed into the next design phases, 60, 90, into building and safety planning review, and then hopefully construction. So still a little ways away to a finalized project, but we thankfully have some small hanging fruit at a couple of our locations to initiate in this next year. Notably, the South Parcel Incorporation at Maxey is one of the highlights that we have from that process moving into the next process.
Okay, and there's no money in this fiscal year allocated to this West Fresno Community Center Rehab Master Plan, right?
Right, none. So we do have some carryover funding that's allocated in the fiscal year budget, but that is all savings to complete the master plan project. From there, an option could be to move that savings into the next phase of a next project.
So has there been a report back to community since the master plan has been completed?
No. As stated, we have about a month until the revisions are complete, and then I defer to the administration on how we release that.
Okay. So you don't know if there's going to be community meetings, or is it going to be something online, or both? You're still working through that phase.
Yeah, so we went through about a dozen community meetings in this last year to identify the priorities. So we have a list of those rehabilitation projects available, and now it's just sequencing them in terms of feasibility. If we do initiate another project, so the South Parcel, that there could be an outreach component as part of that, probably a meeting.
My fear, my worry is that it's three major parks, with Sunset being a community center that services that community as well, with tutors and stuff for kids, that the master plan is complete and then it's just going to be stagnant. It's not going to move. So I'm just a little concerned about this project.
Yeah, no, we completely agree with you, and that's why we're constantly looking at grant opportunities. If you look at those 4 projects, they all fall within Category 1, and you can see the balances that are there, right? So we continue to look at different opportunities for grants, as I think Ms. Rooks mentioned, various phasing opportunities. But again, some of the dollar amounts that we're seeing early in the estimating phase exceed what we have available in Category 1 at this time.
Okay, so this is just on the back burner until we get more funding.
And I think, with my assistant director, Shelby McNabb, and her grants team, they're constantly searching. I mean, we have put in for a few of these projects under grants and we were unsuccessful in obtaining. But again, it's not something that I believe we just put on the shelf and let it sit. We're still looking at opportunities to bring these to the community.
Okay, because I know there was a lot of excitement around this, and I would hate to see that excitement die down because of no report back, no community meetings, no communication, you name it, that's what happens.
Right.
When we don't have communication. We just think that, as I'm speaking as a resident now, we just feel that we've wasted our time providing input and then we don't hear from anyone.
Yeah,
So it'd be really nice to get some type of report back, even if it's done on social media, that thank you all for completing the master plan. We will have updates. We're still vetting through it. We're still looking for funding, or however you guys want to word it, but it would be nice just to hear something.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. And again, we're not afraid of
And not just
outreach.
for
You've
this
seen our numbers.
project, but for all projects in City of Fresno. I'm just speaking about this particular one because it's for
Right.
community centers under a project. And this is like the first time I've ever seen anything like this, so I want it to be successful, and then we'd be able to duplicate it in other parts of the city with the rest of the community centers. So this should be something that's successful because it's going to set the standard.
And you're 100% right. And I think it's something that we're looking at. And how do we talk about phasing in projects, right? We heard from the community. I'm going to use Frank H. Ball as an example. That outdoor transformation with the new courts and some of those features is really what we heard loud and clear. We had a kind of a mixed feeling on the gym, right? Some people wanted it, some people wanted it away, move to a different design. But what we heard loud and clear was that active green space, right? They want to use that. So how do we get to a point, and that's where that value engineering comes in, those phasing components come in. How do we bring at least maybe the outdoor components to this facility and work on a future phase for the building itself? So all those creative solutions are being discussed, and again, with the hopes of bringing this project to the community.
And also my fear or my worries with this being for different parks that service the communities, that the smaller parks are going to be forgotten about, like the Nielsen parks and the Tubman parks and things like that, because we're so concentrated on creating this master plan with the 4 community center parks. So just a little note, just don't forget about the other parks in between.
And I don't think we have, Nielsen.
Oh, I'm not saying you are.
Oh,
just,
right.
Just saying, just please don't, because those little bitty parks service those communities that they sit in. So they still need some TLC as well.
Correct. So I'm just going to talk about Nielsen since you brought it up. We have the contract that council awarded to rebuild a brand new tot lot, softball and shade, working with the landscape team, which maybe comes over here after this budget's adopted, to revitalize the baseball fields out there, right, and bring life back to that Little League community. So tree trimming activity, we definitely will not forget about those communities, and those parks, they do serve a vital service to that surrounding community.
Yeah, and I have some motions for some Nielsen parks as well. So
Perfect.
I'm on it tonight.
Great.
All right, that's it for me. Anyone else has any questions in regards to this?
Yeah,
Commissioner Singh.
I do have a couple more. So I know y'all mentioned something about the FMFCD dual use basins. It said there were going to be 5 locations. Do we know which locations those are?
Summer, correct me if I'm wrong, but Basin FF, which is Kearney and West, Basin XX, McKinley and Hughes, EG, Spruce and Hayes, Basin O, which is Bullard and First, and CW, which is First in Nees area.
Okay. And this would be to see if they can be converted into a park, those
So
basins, right?
Basin XX and FF are current green spaces that flood control works with us on. We have an agreement to operate green space. So right now they're currently green space opportunities for the community. So the thought behind that would be to open these up for soccer amenities, cricket activities, football, whatever that green space could allow. And some of those amenities would include things as like a walking trail. Again, being that it is kind of in a low spot where water could infiltrate those basins, we don't want to put anything like a tot lot down below, right? So we got to look at things that will withstand, the flooding and so forth. So we're looking at that, and some of the other basins I mentioned, looking at Chair McCoy, exercise stations, right? Some of those type of amenities to, again, meet the demand of what we're hearing from the community.
So is JSK not going to be examined? Because I remember we were talking about that as well.
Yeah, so we talked to flood control early on about that location, expanding JSK to the south there. That's one of their top recharge basins. So something there, I think what we could do if they were open to it, which I didn't get the sense that they were. Again, maybe it changed, but I think it'd be more of a top shelf type of walking perimeter, not the expansion of green space that I think some are hoping for.
Okay, sounds good. And then I know, Summer, you had brought up that we should also seek to, kind of further our goals for parks and not just focus on pocket parks. And I do want to echo that I truly believe that, especially I know that in the master plan, we're hoping for more kind of I think an additional regional park in the west area, right? And I know that these are far goals when we have such limited money to expend, but I do want us to really kind of push and make sure that, West Fresno also gets, large parks that are, kind of all kind of containing, similar to like a Woodward Park, because I think they end up being like a hub of a lot of, economic activity, folks coming together, and that would be cool to see on that west side as well.
Great, thank you.
Before you go, Commissioner Braza, I just want to state that converting basins into small pocket parks concerns me because of the flooding, and they will only be able to serve the community for a certain amount of time during the year, and we're already at 98 with our park score. Right. So converting those basins into small pocket parks would be a waste of time and really won't close the disparity gap. So I just want to go on record saying that we need to look at other options of building more parks, acquiring more green space to at least bring us up to 90 or the high 80s, because we have a lot of cities in California that is similar to our city, that has a better park score, better parks available, more parks, more accessibility, and we're such a big city. Our park system shouldn't be the way it is with this money that we generate on a daily basis. So I just wanted to go on record to say that I absolutely cannot stand to see a basin turn into a park, because it will only be accessible for so much time during the year. Even if you put a walking trail in, but if we have a really good rain coming through, that walking trail is not going to be able to be used, especially by seniors, because we don't want them falling or hurting themselves or anything like that. So just want to get on record and say that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Braza, you have
Yes,
the floor.
and it's kind of related to the same topic. Pocket parks used to be built by developers to satisfy the requirement that there be an investment in the many categories that developers have to address. And I noticed that in Southeast Fresno, where you have them, and they're totally inadequate because it doesn't address the needs, the recreational needs of neighborhoods. It's just like a little tree, and it doesn't have restrooms, and it's really not very beneficial. I'm assuming that the current policy is that developers have to pay what they call capital improvement fees or impact fees.
Right.
And so that still continues. That's what's in place?
That's correct. And the parks that you're referencing, Commissioner Braza, those are typically found in our community facilities districts, which are formed by the developers when a track is built, and then administered by Public Works. So while they aren't a parks asset per se, they do provide green space to the community. But yeah, you're right. Some of the early ones were green space with a few trees, nowhere to sit, nowhere to hang out with your family. So I think if you look at some of the newer community facility districts, you're going to start seeing more of those amenities pop up, the tot lots and benches and some of those trails, and even some of the existing CFDs that are out there now. I think there's been an investment from the administration, I know, and council's made a couple motions to install some of those tot lot features that do benefit the young homeowners with kids that are looking for a place to go instead of getting in a car and driving to a park a few miles away.
When the city or a developer builds something on a city-owned property, I'm assuming that fees have to be paid by the developer because they go to the building and planning area and they probably have to comply with it. How do the needs for parks and I'm going to be very specific. This is a housing project. It's going to have 130 apartments on 7th and Cesar Chavez Boulevard. And the neighbors are saying, we don't have parks and you're bringing more people into the area. How do the needs for parks in that consensus, how does that happen?
That is a great question that I think there's probably somebody from planning and development and or public works who would be able to answer that better than I can. I don't want to allude to my thoughts or what I think maybe. I'd rather you hear it from them. So next week, Director Mosier will be here. If not, I can follow up with Director Clark from Planning and Development and get your response to that. That's
Thank
accurate
you.
versus
Because those
me.
are questions residents are asking,
Sure.
and I really didn't know the answer. I know that the funds get accumulated into a capital fund, and then when projects come in, the council allocates money from that pot of money. That's pretty much the way it happens. But if there was a way to be sensitive to the needs of the residents and address the needs for parks in an area that has no parks nearby for the residents. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions before I go out to the public? All right. Will anyone in the public have like to provide a comment regarding this item? You will have up to 3 minutes. And thank you so much, Aaron.
There are no cards in the chamber and no one online.
All right, I will close public comment. Does any member of the commission have any budget recommendation motions they would like to consider? None yet? Oh yeah, we have a couple of days, a couple of meetings to make them, but I just wanted to offer that option tonight. So you can wait.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Can we check if the public has any comments? I got a message on the side.
did.
Could we check if the public has any comments on Zoom? Because I just.
Okay, go ahead. Because when we did, it was no one online. Okay. Well, do I have to make a motion to open it back up since I closed it, or what? It's only one person. I just want to be fair. Okay.
We have TJ online.
Hello, my name is TJ, and I just had a couple of questions and thoughts. Is how much of this and how much attention are you guys putting into basketball and the scene in Fresno? I feel like basketball is a big sport in Fresno, and I feel like we're not taking advantage of it. We have players like Jalen Green and AJ Johnson who played here and went to high school with me, but they're transferring out of Fresno, going to LA and the Bay Area because we have no parks, no gyms to go practice at, to play at. I'm a coach here in Fresno, an all-Punjabi AAU team for a bunch of high school kids, and we're practicing right now in a warehouse downtown with no AC, no ventilation. And as you guys know, in Fresno, it gets super hot, and we're having to cancel practices. And if we go to a park, it's obviously open to the public space, and we don't have enough space to practice. So I just feel like something that you guys, the public, should take into consideration is to kind of look into building more basketball courts and hopefully a gym because we don't have one in Fresno. So those are just my 2 cents. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Now, anyone else?
There are no more speakers online.
All right, I'm gonna go out to the chamber one more time before I close it. Anyone in-house have any comments regarding this presentation? Okay, so public comment is officially closed. Does any member of the commission have any budget recommendation motions they would like to consider? All right, I have some. I'd like to make a motion to recommend the following projects be included in the fiscal year 2026 budget. 1, allocate $657,300 for the tot lot improvements at Fink White. 2, allocate $2.3 million for the replacement of the restrooms at Nielsen Park. Lastly, allocate $400,000 for basketball court improvements at Nielsen Park. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say no. Recommendation is accepted. And I have one more. Let me pull it up here.
Madam Chair, just a clarification. At the next commission meeting, we'll have our last chance to add more recommendations.
Would that be the last chance, or we have 2 more chances?
No, so next Tuesday, the 27th, will be your final opportunity to make any recommendations to council.
Y'all came ready.
I'm sorry?
I said I came prepared. I have one more. Does anyone else have
Meeting is
anything?
coming up. We will not have another chance. Okay. Thank you.
All right, so I would also like to allocate $50,000 to the wellness on the West. I think that's something that's growing and is becoming very popular. They started off with just a lot of donations and volunteers, and this is something that is really growing and becoming popular in West Fresno with all the activities that are taking place and all the work that they're doing with the seniors to keep them active and doing exercising and stuff like that, which is really good for West Fresno. So that's just something that I would like to do, and I would like to see if I can get a second, please.
Can I just ask a clarifying question? Is that something that falls under the cultural arts programming instead of, I don't understand the program well enough to know, is it like a parks-based programmatic
Or
effort,
like
or is it cultural arts?
It's more like a parks base because, or you could say it's both, because they do start off with the walk, and then they go to the park, and then they do exercises, they do yoga, they do activities with the kids. Like this is their 1-year anniversary, so they're gonna have vendors and food to celebrate their 1-year anniversary. And I just would like to see this program continue to grow in West Fresno and build upon the momentum that they have for the last year.
Right.
So that's why I'm asking for a recommendation of $50,000 to be allocated.
My only concern is that if it is cultural arts, I don't think we'd want to step outside
I
of
don't think
that.
there's any drawing or anything like
Okay.
that being
Okay.
done. It's more of exercising and trails and future growth and program services and direct services.
In which case, I'll second your motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Dolan. Do we have any other questions before I ask all in favor? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
Madam Chair, I had a question at the appropriate time, okay? I just wanted to know about Roding Park. I saw that the children area looked like it wasn't open. What's going on? I was a little bit embarrassed that I didn't know what was happening. Being a commissioner, I should be aware of that. But that's why I'm asking, what's going on? Why are we not seeing the rides for children functioning?
Are you talking about Playland, or are you talking about the tot lot?
I'm
The
talking
amusement park?
the amusement park, yes.
Yeah, that's a private nonprofit, Storyland Playland. I don't know that it falls under the Measure P purview, but I'll defer to Director Aguirre.
That's correct. I don't really have a whole lot of information to provide. I don't know, Assistant City Manager?
We don't. We do not have any information at this time, but we can see if we can find any information for you.
Okay, so could you clarify for us if that project is eligible for Measure P, or has that been researched?
I would hate to guess up here on the dice. We'll look into it.
Oh, thank you very much. I just wanted to know more about it because I think that place has so much history and it's such a beautiful area for our children, and not to see it in operation, it is a concern for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Commissioner Korcharski.
Yeah, I want to follow up with that comment about basketball courts not being available. I know one of my churches that I was part of has been hosting indoor basketball groups for over 10 years, and it's amazing how many people they pack into that small church gym because there's such a need. So I didn't think about it till just now, but I'd like to make a recommendation for indoor basketball facilities. But I don't know the best way to do that. If that's a capital improvement project later on, or you already have some in the works that we could say bring forward, or I don't know the best way to do that.
Yeah, so we currently do not have any designs in progress. I will note we do have 5 active gyms that are open to the community. Maxi Parks, Frank H. Ball, Holmes Playground, Romaine, and oh gosh, what's the other one?
Is it Ted C. Wills?
Ted C. Wills, thank you. We do have open gym nights at those locations, so we do have availability. In addition to that, we also have outdoor courts that are available. I understand it does get hot in the summer, and we do draw people into our community center, so those gyms are open at 10 o'clock. And then on Saturdays, those gyms are open at 12 o'clock, from 12 to 5, to allow drop-in basketball. So anyone who's interested can find that information on our website and give you those locations where those gyms are located, what they offer, and then the schedule. So in addition to, like I said, the drop-in basketball a couple nights, we also have volleyball nights. We have a breakdancing at a couple of the gyms. So each night's a little bit different to appeal to the community, but they are open and available for the residents.
In addition to the gyms, the basketball courts inside the gyms, how are the basketball courts outside of the gyms, like outside of the park? Are they up to par to be used as a practice?
So we have a few that are on our resurfacing schedule. We do have Romaine Park that is receiving funds to have that resurfaced. So in addition to our multi-use courts that we've resurfaced for like pickleball, volleyball, and basketball, we're doing the same thing, tennis. We're doing the same thing with our basketball courts and looking at those. So for instance, like I mentioned, Romaine is getting redone. We have Logan Park, which is getting redone. Lions Park is getting done. So we have a number that are on that same resurfacing schedule to address the surfacing needs.
It will be pretty cool to have just a basketball facility like the caller stated. We do have a lot of athletes who are playing professional basketball that came out of West Fresno, that come back to West Fresno and put on basketball clinics, but they're actually using different high schools to do that. So if we did have a facility, we probably would get more of our former players coming back, putting on basketball clinics and giving back to their community as well as their current players. So just something to think about. Anything else? All right, we will move on to ID number 25-608, hearing to receive public input on expanded access to arts and culture grant program. Would any member of the public like to provide a comment regarding this item? You will have up to 3 minutes. No one in chambers. Anyone online?
No one online.
Okay, I will close public comment. Does any member of the commission have questions or comments regarding this item? All right, I will move on to ID number 25-609, hearing to receive public input on allocations related to Measure P, updates to the Parks Master Plan and Cultural Arts Plan, and annual Parks Department budget and capital plan improvements. Would any member of the public like to provide a comment regarding this item? You will have up to 3 minutes for comment.
There is no one online.
I don't see anyone in chamber. I will now close public comment. Does any member of the commission have questions or comments regarding this item? All right, so before I adjourn the meeting, we have another special meeting on Tuesday, so please come ready with your recommendations that we can give to City Council, and let's keep our fingers crossed that they accept them. Yeah, that's a shout out to Council, that they will accept them. But I want to thank everyone for their time. It's 7:33. As always, I would like to adjourn the meeting in the memory of Dr. Francina Puda, who is greatly missed. Thank you all in the chambers and online. And thanks to my commissioners. Have a good evening and see you next Tuesday.
Thank you.